This is obviously a very different start to the video, but today I thought it could be fun to do a tier ranking all of the books I read in 2025 video. I can't actually remember how many books I read in 2025. I think it was around the 70 mark. So I thought it would be fun to tier rank every single one of those books, because as much as I found some all-time favourites, there were also quite a few books that weren't my favourites. So let's jump straight into it. So first of all, it has actually brought up the first book I read in 2025, which was The Housemaid. I feel like The Housemaid literally splits the internet in half, but I really enjoyed it, and since reading it back a year ago now, I think about it all the time. So I think that is going to have to go into loved, because you can't say that The Housemaid isn't memorable. I see, so this is doing it in a complete random order. We then have The Gift by Freida McFadden. This was a bit of a novella / short story by her. I read that in December because it is a Christmas one, and it was fun, but I don't think I could argue it was memorable because it was literally 44 pages. So I'm going to put that in enjoyed but nothing memorable. Okay, clearly on a Freida McFadden run here. I read The Intruder when it was released. I believe it was October, and I really enjoyed this. I don't know if it's too late to do this, but I feel like I want to add in a tier. Can I do that? Because between loved and enjoyed but nothing memorable, I feel like there's books like The Intruder, which I liked. They were good, but I wouldn't argue they're not memorable. So, I can. Right, I'm gonna add in. I feel like that's a fair assessment. God tier is like my top tier 6-star books. Then you've got loved. Then you've got I liked this. Then you've got enjoyed but nothing memorable. Then you've got actually not for me. And then you've got I should have DNF'd. That is a good system. I know we've already got 2 books on there, but I can't figure out how to remove them. So we're going to go with those 2 books where they are, because I feel like that's where they're best placed, and then continue voting from here. So The Intruder by Freida McFadden, that is why I created this new category. I liked it. Right. One Golden Summer. I really loved this, but it wasn't quite God tier, so I feel like that's going to go in loved. She Didn't See It Coming by Shari Lapina. This, I actually think it's my first Shari Lapina, and I was actually a little bit underwhelmed. I've heard such good things about her writing, and I have no doubt that I will love her other books, but this one kind of missed the mark a little bit for me. So I'm going to put that in. Oh, I did enjoy it, just not as much as I thought I would. So I think I'm going to put it in enjoyed but nothing memorable, because I did enjoy it. What Lies Between Us. This is hard as well. It's really hard because a lot of these books I had such high expectations for that my rating is interesting, because if I'd gone in with no expectations, it might have been different. I'm going to put What Lies Between Us as enjoyed but nothing memorable, just because all of John Mars's other books have blown me away, and this one just wasn't my favourite. I still liked it, but I was a little bit underwhelmed. The Names. This is a hard one because, again, I liked it. It was okay, but it was overhyped for me. And I know I completely understand why other people would love it, but for me, it just wasn't my favourite. I'm going to put that in not for me. All the Ways You Saved Me. I adored this book. This was a romance book I got sent, and I think because it was summer, I didn't really have any other romance books on my TBR. So I picked this up not thinking much of it, and I really enjoyed it. So that's going to have to go into loved. Great Big Beautiful Life was a bit of a flop for me, I'm not going to lie. I think that's going to have to go in enjoyed but nothing memorable. I really wanted to love it. I love Emily Henry's writing, but I just didn't get enough of the main characters. There was a kind of secondary timeline which took up majority of the plot that I just didn't enjoy. It really gave me Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo vibes, and unfortunately and controversially, that is not for me. So I'm going to put that in enjoyed but nothing memorable, I think. The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. All of Abby Jimenez's books are incredible, and pretty much all of them end up in God tier. I think this is going to have to go up there because it was an absolute favourite. Most of her books are. They are all 5-star reads for me, so I'm going to put that one in God tier. Oh, Binding 13. This was the second book I read in 2025. I read it in January, and I devoured this book. Upon reflection now, I'm not as obsessed with it as I was when I read it, but I do remember absolutely eating this up and going to the shop like 10 minutes before it shut to get the second one. So I'm going to put that in loved. It's not quite God tier, but I really enjoyed it at the time. The Teacher by Frida McFadden, this is a weird one, as in the book itself is weird, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, what on earth was I reading? I'm gonna put that in enjoyed but nothing memorable. It was definitely something I still enjoyed reading, but it was strange. Deception by Jack Jordan. I really, really enjoyed reading this. This actually isn't out until June 2026, but I really enjoyed reading this. We actually have some exciting stuff coming up for this soon, which you will see on my other platforms, but this is gonna have to go in loved. I thoroughly enjoyed it and can't wait to tell you guys more about it. I think some of these books that I put in should have DNF'd are gonna get some controversial opinions. I really didn't enjoy Our Wives Under the Sea. Most of the books that are gonna end up in the should have DNF'd section are going to be books that were picked for book club because that's the reason I read them, and a lot of them definitely weren't my favourites. Our Wives Under the Sea being one of them, it just went straight over my head, so that's going to go and should have DNF'd. As is this. The Unit was a work book club pick. I had such high hopes for this. I really thought it was going to be a Black Mirror type situation. I either thought it was going to be a bit more of a thriller or a bit more kind of romance heavy, but it was just a bit nothingy. I really did not enjoy this, so that's going to go and should have DNF'd as well. Next we have The Women by Kristen Hanna. This was one of my favourite books of 2025. That is going to straight away go in God tier. I absolutely loved that book. And again, To Cage a Wild Bird. This was my number 2 book of 2025. It so almost took top slot, but it didn't quite get there. So that is also easily God tier. Every Christmas Eve by Emma Hetherington. I absolutely loved this book. I read her Christmas books every single year, and this was no different to the others. I absolutely loved it. So that's going to go in loved. We now have my top book of 2025. That has no place on here other than God tier. That was incredible. Beach Read by Emily Henry. I didn't love this as much as some of her other books. I would say this book, when it comes to Emily Henry books, is kind of like right in the middle. It wasn't my favourite, but there were also some that I definitely enjoyed less. So I'm going to put this in I liked this because I didn't quite love it, but I did really enjoy it. This book was so strange. I read it back in February and I don't think I'd recommend this to people. I'm going to put this in, I would say should have DNF'd, but I really wanted to know what happened, so I'm going to put it in not for me. We now have The Carly Fortune I actually read first, which is Every Summer After. I think this is going to have to go God tier. I absolutely loved this book. Next we have Hello Beautiful. This again was a work book club pick, and I think that's going to have to go and should have DNF'd as well. At the time I didn't dislike it this much, but upon reflection I should have just not finished it. The Final Girls Support Group. This one's hard because it was a book club pick again. There were parts of it I enjoyed, but it was a real slog. So I actually think that's going to have to be should have DNF'd purely because it would have saved me a lot of time. Beautiful Ugly. This is an absolutely brilliant thriller, and I think I'm going to put it in loved because I really enjoyed this, but it wasn't quite God tier. What If I Never Get Over You by Paige Toon. I loved this book. I love Paige Toon. I discovered her when I read Seven Summers technically the year before last now, 2024. And this was equally as gorgeous. Her writing is stunning and I absolutely adored this. This is going to have to go in loved as well. Next we have Redemption by Jack Jordan. This was another book that I really enjoyed. His writing is so good. He's so good at moral dilemmas. So I think I'm also going to put this one in loved. She's Not Sorry by Mary Kubica. I don't talk about this enough. I read this earlier on this year and I really enjoyed it. I think, again, it's not quite God tier, but it's definitely loved, so I'm going to put that in loved. Black Widows. This is really hard. I audioed this. This was a workbook club pick as well, and I don't feel like I should have DNF'd it because I did find it interesting, but it really dragged. I did it on audio kind of as and when I was maybe driving or cooking or whatever. It was just a bit nothingy. I'm so torn between enjoyed but nothing memorable, and I wouldn't say it's not for me, so I'm going to go enjoyed but nothing memorable actually, because that's exactly the truth. I can't really remember what happened. The Castaways. This as well, it's really hard to choose where to put it. I could have DNF'd it because I was quite underwhelmed when I finished it. I could also argue it's not for me. However, there were parts of it that I enjoyed. I'm going to put this in not for me, I think, which is a shame because The Hike by Lucy Clark is one of my all-time favourite books. I really enjoyed that. Tender as the Flesh is a weird one. I didn't rate this when I finished it on Goodreads because it felt wrong to rate it. I also read it in one afternoon and truthfully I'm putting it in should have DNF'd. I remember finishing it and literally saying, I wish I never read that. So I'm putting it in should have DNF'd. The Woman in the Cabin, I really enjoyed this. This was one I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. I did it on audio and the audio was brilliant. I actually think that's going to have to go in loved because it feels too harsh to put it in just I liked because I did really, really enjoy it. So I'm going to put that in loved. This one could lose me a few friends. I was recommended in the blink of an eye by a couple of my close friends and have seen nothing but rave reviews about it. I did it on audio and I was quite underwhelmed, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to put it in enjoyed but nothing memorable. It wasn't so much, it would be way too harsh to put it any lower, but I think I'd be lying to myself if I put it any higher. I really struggled with the AI part of the book, quite a lot. The plot and the plot twists were great, but the AI part, I'm going to put it enjoyed but nothing memorable. And the same friends that loved the book In the Blink of an Eye also loved the book Listen for the Lie. And this is another one that I kind of didn't like. And it was in January that I read, I listened to this. And I never told any of them that I'd listened to it and didn't like it. So I really hope they don't see this, but this is going to have to go in. I'm very torn between not for me and enjoyed but nothing memorable because I'm going to put it in enjoyed but nothing memorable because there were parts of it I did enjoy. All the Colours of the Dark, this was another work book club pick. This was so long and dragged so much. I'm going to have to put that in should have DNF'd. It was a real slog to get through for me, which is weird because my friend from work gave it 5 stars and it's one of her favourite books, but it just was not for me. I'm putting it in should have DNF'd. The Woman in Cabin 10, I read this just before going to see the film that came out. I'm going to put that in loved. I really, really enjoyed this book. The film is also great, but quite different to the book. But when it comes to the book, I loved it. I'm going to put it in loved. This book almost got me cancelled. I feel very strongly about this book. I really do not like it. I was really annoyed when I finished it. That is 100% going and should have DNF'd. I do not recommend anyone reads it, which is hilarious because actually so many people love this book, but it just annoyed me beyond anything. That's going and should have DNF'd right now. Shirley Ballas' Murder on the Dance Floor is a really weird one. I actually read it because I did a video earlier on in the year where my younger cousins picked me a book each, and this is what she picked me. I did it on audio and I actually really liked it. I'm going to put it in I liked this. I didn't love it because it's not really normally my kind of thing, but I liked it, and I actually would argue it was quite memorable, so I'm going to put it in I liked this. Next, we have The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. This scarred me for life. I really thought it was going to be a cute Christmassy romance, and the spice, even though there wasn't that much of it, it was using the wrong phrases for me. I'm going to put that in not for me because I shouldn't have DNF'd it. The story itself had me invested, but it definitely wasn't for me. So I'm going to put that in not for me. I genuinely considered not including this at first because Lisa Jewell is my all-time favourite author, and this was her 2025 release. It wasn't my favourite. It feels really wrong not putting this anywhere other than God Tier or Loved, but I think I'm going to have to put it in enjoyed but nothing memorable, and that feels really mean. It was still enjoyable, but I think because of None of This Is True being her most recent release before, and me having such high hopes, I was just a bit disappointed. I'm going to put it in enjoyed but nothing memorable, but let's skip over this. I don't want to talk about it. It upsets me massively. Keeping 13 is going to have to go along with Binding 13 as loved. I felt the exact same about this as I did about the other one, but I think after this I decided I needed a bit of a break, and then I just never picked them back up. I saw a new book in this series come out earlier in the year and the reviews kind of put me off, so I just stopped there, but I'm going to put it in loved. The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I read this when I was in America. This gave me Frida McFadden vibes. It was kind of a popcorn thriller type book. So I'm going to put it in I liked this. The New Couple in 5B. This I remember not really liking this, I don't think. I think I remember being quite disappointed by this. I'm gonna put it in not for me because I think it's a bit harsh to say that I should have DNF'd it, but Days You Were Mine, I really like this. This is the same author as Broken Country, which is my all-time favourite book. I'm gonna put this in, I liked this. I did really like it, but I didn't quite love it, I don't think. Scythe, I don't ever know if I'm pronouncing this right. It's like Scythe or Scythe, whatever it is. This was one I didn't expect to love. This was a book club pick that my mum suggested, and I really enjoyed this. I'm gonna put that in, I liked this as well, because I didn't love it, but it definitely pleasantly surprised me. Atmosphere. Oh, this is hard. I don't know whether this deserves to be in God tier or loved. I'm gonna put it in loved. I did really, really like it, and I really enjoyed it, but I can't quite put it in God tier, I don't think. The Tenant by Frida McFadden. I feel like this gets way too much hate. I really enjoyed this. It really gave me the housemaid vibes. I'm gonna put that in, I liked this. I didn't quite love it as much as I love The Housemaid, but I did like it. One Dark Night. This is the same author of The Search Party, which is another one of my all-time favourite thrillers. I'm gonna put this in loved because I did really love this book and I really like her writing, so I'm going to put that in loved. This had very similar vibes to All the Colours of the Dark. Another very long book, another book that was way too descriptive for me, was another work book club pick, and that should have been DNF'd. It was really long and I really struggled with it, so that's going and should have DNF'd. Slightly concerning that the should have DNF'd shelf is almost one of the longest ones, but that's what book clubs do to you. In fact, 1, 2, 3, all of them but one were book club books. So to be fair, the whole point of book club is pushing me out of my comfort zone to try new things, and some of the books I have discovered that I really, really liked are book club books. However, it also shows that it makes me read a lot of stuff that isn't my kind of thing, which is fine. It's important to have variety, and it would be boring if I liked every book I read. The Happy Ever After playlist, this needs to go in God tier as well. I love Abby Jimenez and I loved both that and The Friend Zone. I've only got, what's the last book in that series called? I can't remember for the life of me what that's called. Either way, I've got the last book in the Happy Ever After and Friend Zone series left. Then I've read every Abby Jimenez book. So anyway, that goes in God tier, 100%. The Puppet Show by M.W. Craven. I never talk about this. I don't think I've spoken about it anywhere online. I think because I audioed it and just didn't really talk about it at the time, but this was incredible. I think that's going to have to go loved. Again, I wouldn't quite call it God tier, but I did really enjoy it. And in fact, I need to recommend that more because I really liked that book. Her Last Move by John Mars. This is one of his backlist books that got recovered. I liked this. That's going to go, yeah, that's going to go on. I liked this. This is an interesting one. This is Abby Jimenez's release that comes out in 2026. Don't get me wrong, I loved this, but I didn't quite get the 5-star feeling I've had with all of her other books. So I'm gonna put it in, I liked this, which feels really wrong, but I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. This was one in my top 3. This has to go in God tier. This is one of the best thriller books I have ever read. And so that is going in God tier without a shadow of a doubt. I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh. I also really enjoyed this. I didn't even realise I read this year. I thought I read that way over a year ago. I really liked this. However, I was a tiny bit underwhelmed by the plot twist. I had that horrible thing where people had hyped it up to me so much that I was kind of inevitably going to be a tiny bit disappointed because it was so hyped that it's almost impossible to meet that, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put it in loved because I still really did like it, but I think if I'd have gone in with no expectation, it had potential to be God tier, but unfortunately it was quite hyped up before I read it. Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This is an interesting one. I have seen so many people say this is their top Frida book and it just fell a bit flat for me. I would still say I liked it, but I think, again, I had such high expectations that I was inevitably going to be a bit underwhelmed. I'm going to put it in, I liked this. Oh, this book, All Fours by Miranda July. I was not the target audience for this. I really, really struggled to read it. I really wish I never read it. It was so, so strange. And again, a book club book. A very interesting book club discussion that month as well. That is 100% going and should have DNF'd. The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden. This is underrated. This is one of her backlist books that got recovered this year. 1, I love the cover. 2, I think this is really good. I'm going to put that in loved. I think it's to date probably my favourite Frida McFadden, so I'm putting that in loved. All Her Fault by Andrea Mara, that has got to be God tier. I really, really enjoyed reading this. I read it just before it came out as a Sky programme and literally binged it in 24 hours, 5 stars, that's going in God tier. The Full Risk by Abby Jimenez. This was a kind of novella short story that I read on my mum's Kindle when I borrowed it. It's really hard. I really liked it, but it was so short that there was no room for the characters to develop because it was obviously a short story. So I'm going to put it in enjoyed, but nothing. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put it in I liked this because I did really like it, but I wanted more. This is an interesting one. Picture Imperfect by Jacqueline Wilson. I feel like this book's reviews when it came out, I just don't get it. I absolutely loved this book. I read it before it was out, and for those of you that don't know, it's an adult sequel to The Illustrated Mum. I think a lot of people felt that it didn't do The Illustrated Mum justice, but for me personally, I adored this. I really enjoyed reading about the characters now they were grown up, and I think it carried on really well. I would like to see more adult sequels from Jacqueline Wilson, but I don't know if that is the general consensus or not. I'm putting this in loved. I really liked it. The House in the Cerulean Sea. I believe I'm pronouncing that right now. I could still be doing it wrong, but that's what people have told me, so don't come for me. I feel like that should be in God tier, but I'm going to put it in loved. I don't know why, because at the time I gave it 5 stars and I really, really liked it, but for some reason it just doesn't quite give me God tier feelings. I'm putting it in loved. Private Lives by Emily Edwards. We did a book club event with her and I really liked this book. I'm going to say I liked this. I didn't quite love it. I think because I kind of thought it was going to be a thriller and it's kind of not, but I did like it, so I'm putting it in I liked this. Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth. Again, we did a book club event with her. I adored this. This was a book club book. It was a sapphic summer romance book, and I'm going to put it in I liked this because I did really like it. I did it on audio actually. The audio is brilliant. Sunrise on the Reaping is 100% going in God tier. I cannot wait for the film of this to come out. I'm going to have to do a reread again soon, but I adored this book. It broke my heart, but I loved it. The Family Upstairs. I have been trying to audio some of Lisa Jewell's backlist because I read them when I was about 16, 17, but I can't remember anything. So I'm now rereading them on audio to refresh my memory, and I really liked The Family Upstairs. The audiobook is brilliant. I'm going to put that in loved. No One Saw a Thing by Andrea Mara. I also really loved this. This wasn't quite God tier like All Her Fault, but it was very highly rated by me. I'm putting that in loved. And last, but absolutely by no means least, one of my favourite books that I actually read in 2025 is The Cliffhanger. I'm also going to put that in loved. It's not quite God tier, but it is very close to it, so that is going in loved as well. And there we have it. We have the completed tier list of all the books I read in 2025. Looking at it like that, it really does not look like almost 70 books, but I am 99% sure that that is pretty much all the books I read last year. And when you look at it broken down like this, it was quite clearly such a varied year. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 books that made it into God tier, which I think is pretty good going. 9 books that I absolutely adored is a solid amount of books to find in 1 year. Equally, just to keep it balanced, we have 9 books I should have DNF'd, which again is fine. And truthfully, I think if most of them weren't book club books, I would have DNF'd them, but I wanted to be able to discuss them, so I finished them. So that kind of makes sense, and it's important to read a variety of books, I think, so that's fine. The shelf I love the most is the loved shelf. They are kind of my books that I would wholeheartedly recommend, and they're not like my all-time favourites. I'm going to rave about them, but I did thoroughly enjoy them. So I think it was quite a positive year looking at it like that, actually. I read some brilliant books, and I'm very excited to see how this differs to my 2026 ranking at the end of the year. This was actually a very fun video to film. If you have made it to the end, thank you so much for watching and for supporting my new YouTube channel. I think tier ranking videos are actually very, very fun to film. I might do another one halfway through 2026 to do the books I'd read so far that year, or maybe I could do them by genre or something if that would be something of interest, but As always, please do engage with this video as much as you can. It really helps me out and pushes me to new audiences as well. And if you aren't subscribed already, then please do click that button as well, because it helps me so much. So I will see you guys next Sunday for another video. But for now, I will say goodbye and thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it.